How's it going, guys? The Fidget Professor here with another review, and today we are reviewing the Wanwu Paraskeleton with the Exoskeleton and the Proxy EDC Utopia. So, to start, let's go with the little one. So, this, as I said, is the Wanwu Exoskeleton. That's what this piece is. And then this is the Paraskeleton. I don't remember if this has a specific name or not. I've just always heard this referred to as like the ratchet ring, because as you can hear, it does have that ratcheting. Technically, this would be, I guess, depending upon how you look at it, this would be classified as a fidget gun, although it doesn't necessarily really have gun-like features that we are accustomed to. So with the paraskeleton part, you've got this little bit as a spinner, and then this piece here allows you to spin it around, but in this form it doesn't really work that way. Now the heart of this is the exoskeleton. With this particular fidget, there's many ways that you can modify this, and one of those ways is my personal favorite, which is the tuning fork. Now, I like fidgets that make noise. I love that ringing noise that you get from some of them. The exoskeleton is one. The Proxy EDC Iron Curtain is one. So what I mean by that tuning fork sound is, I'm hoping you will be able to hear this. That wonderful ringing sound. That's what I'm talking about. And it's even more fun when you are ratcheting it really fast. Obviously, due to space constraints, I'm not going to do that. My particular one, the paraskeleton and the ratchet ring are aluminum, and this is stainless steel. I would not mind having a stainless steel body, but I like the blue enough to where I'm going to be okay with the aluminum. One thing I do advise anybody who has this, if you fidget with this a lot, be very careful with this ratchet ring. So if you look, you can unscrew this entire piece. And it allows you to remove, there's springs and ball bearings in here, and that's what gives it that ratchet sound. I have, unfortunately, at one point unscrewed it unknowingly and lost a couple of ball bearings and springs, but thankfully I had spares, so I was able to replace that. But I just forewarn you, if you do use this, be very careful with that. But now, let's move on to what some call their holy grail. Here we have the Proxy EDC Utopia. Now, this particular fidget is actually made up of 5 different pieces. So, this piece up here is called the Python. From here to here is the Cyber Soul. This little piece right here is the Dragon Ridge. This is the Iron Curtain, which I do have a second Iron Curtain. And then the handle bit here is called the Fang. Now, the one thing about the Fang is that there's not much fidget ability with it by itself. It's made strictly to be a handle for the Cyber Soul, which isn't in itself, or Cyborg Soul, I should say. My apologies. Or no? I may be getting my names mixed up because I've been looking at another fidget that's a very similar sounding name from a different manufacturer. So if I'm getting my name incorrect, I do apologize. But anyway, so to show you a few of the different features, and for the Iron Curtain, I'll show you with this spare one. So with the Python, there's normally a black handle back here that has a ring that you put your finger through, and you just pop it open like that, and then lock it back into place. Yeah, that's back into place. With this piece, the Cyber Soul, I'm hoping I'm getting that name correct. Please do. I do apologize if I'm not. you can all beat me later. It works very similar to like you're racking a gun. So it works like that. It locks certain things into place, push forward, and then you've got that. And you can hear the sounds that it makes when you do certain actions. And they're just thrilling to me. Now, when you have it in this mode, one thing to be very careful of is when you put this back down, make sure that it is pressed down all the way. Because that little silver pin right there is what holds this down. So, now with the Dragon Ridge, you've got this little button here. As you see, these pins are out, so I need to pull it back, which re-engages the magnets and closes the ridges. Because if you look, you will see that there are magnets, and that is what makes this particular thing. It's essentially a magnetic slider. But it's really, really cool and fun. And as I said, the fang itself is pretty much this little framework here. There's normally like an orange handle that's normally here. You just swap it out for the iron curtain when you're building this. The only really fidget ability for this is that it's like ratcheting or like the racking mechanism for like a bolt action, not for like a bolt action rifle, I think is what it's called. But now for the iron curtain, so you've got it. This is how it comes out of its package, and it's got its spin mode. You can just spin it like that. But this is another one of those that makes that wonderful ringing noise. I really thoroughly enjoy that, and this is actually one that goes to work with me quite frequently in my pocket. Because I will just walk around work as I'm doing rounds and spinning it and just hearing that noise. Now, there's 3 different ways that you are able to fidget with this. One of them is the way that I just showed you. Another is you can take out these, what they're called hand screws, because you basically just use your fingers and your thumbs to take them out. And then it turns these little brackets into sliders. Now, I personally don't do that because I don't like losing things, and my luck would be if I took these out, they would get set down somewhere and lost. So, there is a third way where you take the whole thing apart. You take this piece off, you take this out there, and then you put something in here, and it does something with this mechanism here. I think it keeps it down, and so it's just like a constant like push or something of that nature. I've not really played with that particular mode, so I'm not sure, because I prefer this mode as it is. One thing I will definitely advise you of is, if you're like me and you do take fidgets with you to different places, do not take this one with you. Here's why. This looks like a real gun. This might get you shot. The fidgets, say like the Time Knight or the Go Bigger Punk or the Breaker, they're not like, they do have that, okay, is that a real gun? Is that not? I don't know. Don't know. But there's still enough where you're just like, we're not sure. This is one where there would be no mistaking. Even though it is clearly a fidget, someone's going to mistake it for an actual pistol. To give you an idea, so I've got, this is the, I've already reviewed this. This is that, the Go Bigger Punk knockoff. But even though it does look like a gun, it's so small that it is quite obvious that this is not going to shoot anything, with the exception of the little plastic bullet things that do no damage. This, even though it has no area for a projectile, this looks enough like a gun. You might get hurt. So I just advise caution. This would be more of one for like home fidgeting, or if you're in an office by yourself, maybe there. But out in public, say like Walmart, Ingles, or your local grocery stores, I would not advise that, and that just because you might get hurt. Yeah. So, well, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I'm sorry if I rambled a little bit. One thing I do want to make mention of is I do know that some of the reviewers are sponsored through different companies, say like EDC or Meta EDC or G1. I'm personally not. So everything that you are seeing in my videos is my personal collection, things that I personally have purchased. I do my best to try to space out how many I do in a video for time-wise, but not only that, it's to make sure that I can be doing this for a while as I acquire new fidgets. I do have people that I am buying them, that I do buy them from pre-owned, and those will be coming in soon, and I will be doing videos of those, of course. But I personally do not have a sponsorship through anyone, so I don't know how to go about getting something like that. Would I love to do that to where I'm constantly getting, I've constantly got new stuff that I can review and share with you guys? I would love that. I would absolutely love that. But until that point, I'm spacing out what I do. That way I make sure that I can be doing this for a while, instead of doing everything at once and then there's nothing. So, but with that said, I'm going to wrap this up. I do believe if certain things come in like they should within the next week or two, I do believe Saturday I will have a sliders video. So I'll be reviewing different sliders. So with that said, I'm CJ. I am the Fidget Professor, and you have a good day.